At Liverpool, two names shine brighter than most: Virgil van Dijk, Mohamed Salah.
One player who's been so key to so much of the success that you've had at Liverpool is this man, Mo Salah.
They both came to Liverpool at a time where the Reds were still early in their project.
Obviously, we've been on a journey together since 2017. Yeah, it's been a great journey.
Both were doubted as soon as they signed.
Lovren was a much better defender at Southampton than Van Dijk ever was.
If everybody's fit at the start of the season, I didn't think he might not get in the team because you were looking at Coutinho, Firmino and Mane.
They ended up silencing all of those doubters. The two of them were vital for Liverpool returning back to an elite level. One locked down the best attackers in the world, the other tore every defender apart. These aren't just elite athletes, they're the heart of Liverpool Football Club. When others refused to sign a new contract to go explore sunny Madrid with their boyfriend, these two stayed because they still believed in the club, believed in the project. When Liverpool let the world know that these two had extended their contracts,
great to be here another 2 years, so yeah, happy to sign a new contract.
It was always Liverpool, wasn't it?
It was always Liverpool, yeah.
it wasn't just about football. It was about showing that the club still believes in their loyalty and leadership. Two players that are amazing both on and off the pitch. Even though they have gotten older, they continue to be the very best in their position.
He's too good for the highest level of football. If you know what I mean, it's almost like it's still too easy for him. It almost feels like there should be another level above that for Van Dijk.
You need that one player who's almost ahead of everyone else just to get you over the line and make the difference in tight games. And Salah does that week in, week out.
They're everything a club could ask for, and this is their story. Before we start with Van Dijk's story, let's start with Mo Salah. The impact he has had on this Liverpool team is insane. At times, he has carried the Reds alone on his shoulders when things got tough. Him and De Bruyne were the faces of the league for the 2020s.
Who do we vote for Footballer of the Year?
I vote for Salah.
You did?
Yeah.
Because?
Because he deserves it.
He is one of the greatest African players to ever play the sport and the best right winger in Premier League history.
Who's been the toughest opponent?
I think it's Salah.
Salah?
I think it's Salah.
Why? What is it about him?
It's absolutely explosive and unstoppable winger.
I don't think people still realize how iconic Mohamed Salah is. Not because he posted a Christmas tree photo every year. Still crazy how much backlash he gets, but mashallah, he's mentally strong. He posts it anyways, and then goes out and scores on Boxing Day. I'm talking about the fact that his name is now among the players that are universally seen as the greatest to ever grace the Premier League. Players that once seemed untouchable. He passed Wayne Rooney for the most Premier League games with a goal or assist. He passed Henry and Lampard in the all-time Premier League top goal scorer charts.
If I can go down as having more goals than someone like a Thierry Henry, come on, man. And we look at him as the GOAT.
Salah is also at the top when it comes to Liverpool's all-time top goal scorers. In the Champions League, he is their top scorer. We are seeing a player in real time cement his legacy as one of the greatest to ever play in England. Meanwhile, people on Twitter are arguing whether his game is aesthetic or not. He has won multiple Playmaker of the Season awards, multiple Golden Boots, multiple PFA Player of the Years. The guy just walks around breaking records. But while we all know Salah as the Liverpool legend who can't stop scoring, he used to have a very different reputation.
A lonely boy, a naive boy, completely out of context, physically fragile, and then he goes to Italy. He has the experience of Fiorentina, he has the experience of Rome. When he comes back to England, he comes completely adapted to the high level European football with more understanding of the game, physically much stronger. You can see his body, his fitness much stronger and much more confident, much more confident.
At just 15 years old, playing in Egypt, he had to be given a special diet and training program due to his muscles not being fully formed.
That shows a great determination and a will to be a footballer. You must have absolutely really wanted.
I had nothing to do, nothing else to do. Just I'm playing football. I love to play football. It was my life.
Early on in his career, Mamdou Abbas, who was the president of Egyptian top club Zamalek, publicly refused to sign Salah because he was apparently not good enough.
And I didn't play for the best team in Egypt.
While he would get regular game time at Al Mukawloon, he struggled to score goals. In the dressing room after matches, he would sometimes be in tears because of this. These setbacks only motivated Salah to become better.
What really I love about myself is I want to really succeed, and I can do anything just to be a better person and better player.
While he wasn't putting up the craziest numbers, he was showing that he had potential. Swiss club Basel had been monitoring Salah for some time, and following the suspension of the Egyptian Premier League, they made a move for the Egyptian. They set up a friendly match with the Egyptian national under-23 team, but the match was only played for one reason: to watch Salah. Although Salah only played in the second half, he scored twice. Basel were impressed, and on the 10th of April 2012, it was announced that Salah had signed for Basel on a 4-year contract. He was brought in as a replacement for Shaqiri, who had just departed. The excitement of the move, however, came to a quick end after Salah found it difficult to settle.
I think because the culture is very difficult for us. Like, you came from Egypt to Switzerland, like, what? It's two cultures completely different. The timing, to respect your time, to be in time, that's something different.
His first training with the club was so bad that Basel's manager at the time, Virgil, thought that Salah might have had a twin brother.
My first day in Basel, I said, okay, I need to change myself now. It was hard, of course.
He wasn't able to speak the language, and now he was playing in a new league and country.
What was the hardest thing?
The language. I couldn't speak English, so I was walking the street talking Arabic to everyone. So it was difficult, the language. I couldn't speak English. I have to learn English.
It was a big step up from the Egyptian league.
They train 2 hours. They give everything in 2 hours. The attention, the focus, the concentration, everything in that 2 hours. But in Egypt, I wasn't like that. It was like, yeah, you have 2 hours. You could be a little bit slow. You could be a little bit tired. That doesn't work here. So I need to change my mentality, and I need to develop myself.
Different work ethic completely in many ways.
Here, his speed wasn't enough to beat players. And as his former teammate Jan Sommer stated, Salah had problems in front of goal.
So in my mind, I need to change, or otherwise I have to come back to Egypt. So that's not an optional for me, so I need to change myself.
But the club remained patient. Salah was eased into things, often being used as an impact substitute. Of his 29 appearances in the Swiss Super League in that first year at Basel, only 10 of them lasted longer than an hour. The team's manager, Murat Yakin, was careful to manage his development. Their patience was rewarded in the second season, where Salah picked up 12 goals and 7 assists in all competitions as Basel were crowned champions again. These numbers look drastically low now, but at the time were signs of huge improvements from the Egyptian.
All my willpower to change my mentality in Switzerland. So I was really able to change myself, my mentality, my mind, everything. So that's what I did in Basel.
In fact, he was playing so well that Chelsea were interested in signing him.
Held talks with Basel with the hope of making Salah their first signing of the January transfer window.
Salah joined Mourinho's Chelsea in January for $14.75 million from Basel. He was still relatively unknown by most football fans, but he had shown some moments of greatness. Specifically, his performance against Chelsea in the Champions League.
Beautiful control from him, and Salah has done it! For the third time in a row against Chelsea, he has scored, and it might clinch the Champions League double over Jose Mourinho's side.
He had played so well that Mourinho was convinced that Salah might be the missing piece to take the team to the next level.
I was the one that told buy that guy. He was going from Basel to Liverpool, and I made a fight, I made a war to make him come to Chelsea.
والله هو بعتت لي مسج منه في الأول. أنا كنت الموضوع كان ماشي في اتجاه ليفربول خالص، فاتبعت لي منه مسج فأنا بصيت جوزيه مورينيو كلمني.
Salah scored his first goal for Chelsea against Arsenal in a 6-0 win. However, things only went downhill from here.
Kid come from Egypt to Chelsea, after 1 year and a half, like it's difficult. In Chelsea, you go to the dressing room, you see big names, big players, you love them when you were kids.
Mourinho did not play Salah much, with him only making 8 appearances in all competitions, not scoring in any of them.
I played first 6 months, then I was not able to play the second 6 months, so I didn't play much. I don't know what's the reason. I just was young, then I didn't have my chance. That's what I can say about the time.
We bought a kid, and we bought a kid from a different habitat, Egyptian player playing in Switzerland. We knew that the kid was going to need time. This season, step by step, start playing, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, he come on against Newcastle.
Then, Salah had his worst performance ever in a game against Shrewsbury Town. The performance was so bad that Mourinho publicly talked about it. He said that certain players made it easy to not choose them for the starting 11, then specifically said that Salah in particular had disappointed him. Mourinho began freezing Salah out, and he only made 3 more appearances before being loaned out to Fiorentina.
To be a Chelsea player, you need to perform, or you have to wait. You have to wait. He didn't want to wait. He wanted to go on loan.
Mentally, after I was not playing, it was very difficult for me mentally. I said to myself, I need to leave. I said to myself, I need to change everything. I need to change the culture. I need to change the football. So that's the time to go outside England.
Now, some people might blame Chelsea for Salah not developing. I mean, at the end of the day, making attackers better is not something Chelsea have been particularly good at. But on the other hand, maybe the move to England was done too early in Salah's career. He was young and did not have enough top-level experience.
He arrived in Chelsea coming from Basel, a lonely boy, a naive boy, completely out of context, physically fragile.
I was also young, 21, 22, so the media was like putting more pressure on me. Then I couldn't handle that, and it was really difficult because as a star in Egypt and like 100 million is looking at you and writing everything about you, and probably most of the time they write something fake.
At Fiorentina though, Salah looked good, certainly a lot better than the version of him we were seeing at Chelsea. He made his first start for Fiorentina on the 14th of February against Sassuolo, scoring his first goal for the club in the 30th minute. He then provided an assist to Babacar just 2 minutes after scoring. The match ended in a 3-1 win for Fiorentina. He scored in the Europa League against Tottenham, scored both of Fiorentina's goals in a 2-1 win against Juventus in the Coppa Italia, and scored the winner against Inter in the league. Despite joining the club halfway through the year, Salah was shining. Fiorentina tried to make the loan move permanent, but Salah refused, and instead joined Roma on loan. Salah really must have loved Italy because he continued to shine, picking up 15 goals and 7 assists as Roma finished 3rd in Serie A and qualified for the Champions League. He was named Roma's 2015-2016 Player of the Season. The loan spell had gone so well that Roma signed Salah on a permanent deal. Salah rewarded their decision by getting even better as he picked up 18 goals and 15 assists in all competitions. Roma finished second, just 4 points behind Juventus, but Salah had shown unbelievable progress. Ultimately, his time in Italy was a blessing. Fiorentina and Roma made him better both physically and mentally.
Italy, Fiorentina and Roma, of course, and you really established yourself.
And then he goes to Italy, he has the experience of Fiorentina, he has the experience of Rome. When he comes back to England, he comes completely adapted to the high-level European football with more understanding of the game, physically much stronger. You can see his body, his fitness much stronger and much more confident.
A player who was criticized for his inability to be clinical in front of goal now had 2 seasons in a row with double-digit goals.
Many people were saying that about, he couldn't finish well, he didn't do that, he didn't do that. I built a field, goal, and balls, and coins and everything. I was talking every day. Practice every day.
This was the player Chelsea had hoped to get when they signed him from Basel. With Salah's reputation transforming after his time in Italy, Liverpool came calling.
Since I left in Rome, I don't know which club, but when I had Liverpool, I said, okay, I have to come back to England.
And that's why when I was in Rome and there's talk between the clubs, and they were saying, I will go there, I would love to play there, the atmosphere is unbelievable. I want to come back to England to prove people wrong.
While Salah's play had drastically improved from his time at Chelsea, a lot of people at the time still doubted the signing. In people's eyes, he was still a Premier League reject, and despite getting 34 goals and 22 assists at Roma, nobody knew if he could keep the same numbers in England.
It's like many doubts. Like the people were talking a lot now. It's not good enough for English football. It shouldn't come back. In Italy, it's like a bit slow, the football.
So for Liverpool to spend that sum of money on someone that has already failed to prove himself in the Premier League looked like a bit of a dud to me.
If everybody's fit at the start of the season, I didn't think he might not get in the team because you were looking at Coutinho, Firmino and Mane.
After all, even in that great second season at Roma, at one point, Salah had gone 2 months without a goal. There were even reports that Salah was not the player Klopp wanted.
And Jurgen Klopp's quite open about this. He didn't want to sign Mo Salah. He wanted to sign Julian Brandt.
But Salah was determined to silence his doubters on his return to England.
Just to come back to England, it was in my mind very clear. In my mind, I was like, it's my league, I will come back. I will come back and for sure I will succeed here. But when I came here, I had also 2 great seasons in Rome. Everyone told me, no, don't change. The Premier League is difficult for you. But it's always in my mind to come back.
In his opening game, he scored against Watford.
The gentleman alongside you scored today. He was also involved in the penalty. What did you think of his overall contribution?
Yeah, brilliant. He's been brilliant since he come in pre-season. He's shown what he's all about, scoring goals, linking up with the forward men and doing his defensive duties as well. So he was fantastic again today and deserves man of the match.
Just 12 days later, he would score his first goal at Anfield against 1899 Hoffenheim. Then he scored and assisted in a 4-0 win over Arsenal. He was starting to silence his haters in the very first month. Then in November of 2017, he went face-to-face with the team that got rid of him. Chelsea. This was the same Chelsea team that had won the league the previous season, but Salah positioned himself at the right place at the right time, scoring against them. Out of respect for his former club, he didn't celebrate, but everyone in that stadium knew that this was not the same Salah who had come to the Premier League 4 years ago. The Chelsea fans were even more sad that they had lost to a player that they got rid of. Salah began to rise to the top of the Premier League top scorer charts after scoring twice against Stoke, scoring against Bournemouth, and scoring 4 goals against Watford.
But the real moment, I think, when it looked like they'd got a world beater, when it looked like they got an incredible player, I think was the Watford game, mid-March, where he scored 4 goals.
He became the joint second fastest player to reach 20 goals for Liverpool, doing it in 26 appearances. Don't think he just scored against the weaker teams either. He scored in both legs of the Champions League quarterfinals against Man City, helping Liverpool advance to the semi-finals.
He's changed the way he plays. He doesn't play the same way as before. And I think sometimes, like we were talking about before, is that some players, the penny drops. What do you want to be? Do you want to be an entertainer, or do you want to be someone who decides games? And he's made that decision, and he's been clinical.
The game I would never take it away from my mind is the Champions League away game, the 2-1. That was like, I think I was talking to Virgil yesterday on the bench. I was like, I think that's the most difficult game we played in Liverpool.
In the semi-finals, he scored a brace against his former club Roma. He had turned into Egyptian Messi this season.
Mohamed Salah's running through. Mohamed Salah, Alisson, it's all the way out! Oh, it's another for Liverpool. It's another for Salah.
Without Mohamed Salah, Liverpool 2-0 down. With Mohamed Salah, Liverpool 5-0 up.
Salah was perfect for Klopp's system. Their fast attacking style meant they could use Salah's pace.
And the stylus of his football and the way he sets up his team, it clearly suits you.
Salah would start out wide and either create a goal for himself like this one, or someone like Firmino could create for him like his second goal against Roma. His speed combined with his improved finishing made him so dangerous.
How have you done it? How have you gone from excellent, world class to maybe even that next stage?
I'm always looking to myself like where I can improve. What can I do to improve?
This became Salah's best season statistically, as he finished with 44 goals in all competitions, 32 goals in the Premier League, and 10 goals in the Champions League. You guys understand how crazy 10 goals and 5 assists in 13 Champions League games is? He also became the leading goal scorer in Europe's top 5 leagues, overtaking Barcelona's Lionel Messi and Tottenham striker Harry Kane.
Look who's at the top of that list. Lionel Messi, at the top.
Crazy to see a player who was memed as being a pace merchant become a Golden Boot winner in his first season back to the Premier League. He became the PFA Player of the Year and was named in the Team of the Season. He would then become the Premier League's all-time goal scorer for a 38-game season at the time. Salah was breaking record after record.
When I won it from Kane, I said, you won it from Kane, and Kane was winning 2 years before. So, no, I went to the summer and the holiday, I said, look, why not? You did it one time and take it from Kane, and Kane is top goal scorer. So give it a try on the second one.
His success continued as Liverpool made it to the Champions League final. Real Madrid were the last obstacle standing between Liverpool and the Champions League. Liverpool fans were confident that with Salah playing at a Ballon d'Or level, along with Sadio Mane, they would achieve the ultimate prize. But then, everything changed in the 30th minute. Sergio Ramos grabbed Mo Salah and tackled him to the ground. This literally looks like a finishing move in WWE. While dragging him down, Ramos dislocated Salah's shoulder. Salah at first tried to carry on, thinking he could still play.
I felt something. I just felt something strange in my body when I felt in my shoulder. So I said, hopefully it's not serious. So the doctor came in, then I go out, then I say, okay, now it's fine, I can move it. But when I was running, I just felt something like
too much.
Yeah.
But he couldn't continue and left the field in tears. Real Madrid ended up winning the final, putting a sad ending to a historic season for Salah.
Disappointed moment in my career, in my life. Go out to the field, in the final Champions League. It was so bad after the season we had together. So it was very disappointing for me. I think if I continued the game, in my mind that we could win the game. And the day after, I was like, okay, now we have to looking forward for the next one. I don't have to just still crying and think about the bus. The bus is past, so now you have to think about now and the future.
While the 2018 season ended in tears, the new season started off with a bang. Salah signed a contract extension with Liverpool. He committed his future to the club and showed that the last season was not a fluke, as he immediately scored in the first game of the new season against West Ham. He was named on the 3-man shortlist for the UEFA Men's Player of the Year, coming in 3rd place, and was also included on the 3-man shortlist for the UEFA Forward of the Season, coming in 2nd place. Imagine going back to 2014 and telling someone that the dude who scored 9 goals for Basel and played about 12 games for Chelsea would be considered one of the best players in the world.
Of course, I want to show that people that they are wrong. There is many doubts with no reason. They just talk.
From right-footed goals, to tap-ins, to an absolute banger against Chelsea, Salah was finding the net in every way possible. A lot of people had said that Salah was a one-season wonder, but the numbers disagree.
Can he do anything anywhere near it next season?
Well, that's the big question. I remember the first season, and I remember some people saying, yeah, but can he do it again? The first season's easy, can he do it again? And now you've just gone year after year. 27
goals and 12 assists in all competitions for the Egyptian as he won his 2nd Golden Boot.
Breaking records, 2 Golden Boots, Player of the Year.
But there was still a missing piece in Salah's glory. There was something he hadn't achieved yet. Liverpool was back in the Champions League final again. It was time for Salah's redemption. Liverpool's previous opponents from last year were thrashed earlier in the Champions League by Ajax. It meant that Salah would not have to face Ramos again. Salah's new opponent was Tottenham Hotspur. While it looks like an easier matchup compared to Real Madrid on paper, this was a different Spurs team. Just look at what Lucas Moura did to get Spurs to the final. It didn't matter though. While the final wasn't the most entertaining, this was a massive moment of redemption for the Egyptian.
Mo, all the tears of last season, all the disappointment of last season's final, all wiped away tonight.
Honestly, I don't know what to say, but everyone is happy now. You win a final. I'm very glad to play the 2nd final in a row and play 90 minutes finally.
I think when we won the Champions League, it was unbelievable. The emotion you can see in the videos that he had, and emotion with us after the game was like a good memory.
From here on, Salah continued his dominance and established himself not just as a Liverpool legend, but a Premier League great. He had 19 goals and 10 assists just in the Premier League in the 2019-2020 season, leading Liverpool to a league title.
The Premier League is like, there is no doubt that's the most important thing for everybody.
He won the 2019 FIFA Club World Cup and received the Golden Ball Award for the player of the tournament. In this season, Salah also became the first Liverpool player to score 20 goals in all competitions in 3 consecutive seasons since Michael Owen. Yet he finished 5th in the Ballon d'Or rankings. It was almost like people had become numb to his greatness.
But with Liverpool fans, I think he's a little bit underappreciated. Certainly going from what he did in that first season to what he's sort of the numbers he's getting now. Obviously, do you feel this season you're maybe not getting the attention that you got last season, and what you're doing is maybe not getting appreciated as much?
In the 2021 season, he scored against Newcastle to become the first Liverpool player to score 20 goals in 3 different Premier League campaigns. Salah ended the season with 22 goals and 5 assists in the Premier League and 31 goals and 6 assists in all competitions. What makes these numbers even more impressive was that it was in a struggling Liverpool side. Between COVID and injury issues that Liverpool was dealing with, they couldn't compete at a high level.
It's Liverpool's last 3 away games in the league. They lost 3-1 at Brentford, 3-0 at Brighton, 3-0 at Wolves. I mean, they've lost the fear factor, haven't they?
Oh, 100%. 100%. There's no doubt about that, yeah.
But at this moment, this Liverpool team are, a shadow of what they've been.
Salah was the only consistent part of the Liverpool team that season. And without him, they don't qualify for the Champions League.
You rescued it to an extent. Did you find last season really hard?
Well, yes, absolutely. We have a lot of injury. Some players were not in the best form. So I found it really hard.
But because of Liverpool's struggles, Salah's performances were also being criticized despite his numbers.
Liverpool in the last month have carried Mo Salah. And if Diogo Jota was fit, I don't think Mo Salah probably starts yesterday, and he probably didn't start the games before because he is way out of form.
Well, Salah, we have to talk about Salah. Salah is only the ghost of himself right now.
I would certainly agree that he's not
as good as he was 2 seasons ago.
When Mo Salah comes on, you think he's going to come on, add some freshness. 3 or 4 times he gets 1v1 with the left back and just runs straight into him.
Even among the Liverpool fan base, there was a period where people felt Firmino and Mane were more important to the side.
Liverpool's front three, and again, said to Liverpool supporters, would you rather Mane go, Firmino or Salah? Everyone I speak to says Salah.
But Salah kept pushing. In 2022, it seemed like every week Salah was breaking records. He opened the season with a goal and assist against Norwich, becoming the first player to score in the opening game of 5 consecutive Premier League seasons. His goal against Brentford made him the fastest player in Liverpool history to reach 100 top-flight goals. The goal also moved Salah into Liverpool's top 10 all-time scorer list.
I want to be the highest top scorer for Liverpool in the Premier League, that's for sure. It's clear in my mind. I'm gonna do it hopefully soon.
In October, he scored 2 goals against Atletico Madrid, breaking 2 different milestones. He became the first player in Liverpool history to score in 9 consecutive games, and also passed Steven Gerrard to become the top Champions League goal scorer in Liverpool's history.
Now, my favourite is you. It has to be you because Leo, my Leo, he's obsessed. He loves you more than me.
I know Gerrard was a midfielder, but it is still insane that Salah surpassed him that quickly, considering Gerrard was at Liverpool his whole career.
I think when Mo Salah eventually, stops playing for the club, I think he goes right in there as one of the top players to ever play for the team. I think he goes in an all-time Liverpool 11. And you could argue he's in the top 5 or 6 players to ever play for the club.
Later in that same month, Salah broke yet another record. After scoring a hat-trick against Manchester United, he became the highest-scoring African player in Premier League history, surpassing Didier Drogba. He also became the first opposition player to score a hat-trick at Old Trafford since Ronaldo Nazario did it in 2003, and the first to do so in Premier League history.
When I scored a hat-trick and I think I had another chance after, I was like so angry, and I looked at the manager, was like, stay calm, you're gonna score again, it's fine. And I just felt like I want to score again and again.
At the end of the season, Salah was awarded his 3rd Golden Boot award, sharing the award with Heung-min Son after both players scored 23 goals. Salah also won the Playmaker of the Season award after collecting 13 assists. The consistency Salah has shown is unbelievable.
And he's got the consistency as well. That's 4 of the last 6 seasons. He's scored 30 plus goals across all competitions. And he's a self-styled winger.
What Salah has achieved at Liverpool is amazing. From being considered a pace merchant to a Premier League reject, then called a one-season wonder, Salah has silenced all the doubters. Maybe when he retires, he will be looked back on more fondly, because I don't think people realize we are watching history. The consistency and the peaks that he has reached, I don't see why he shouldn't be considered the greatest right winger in Premier League history. Now, Salah was not alone in his journey. While he was banging in goals, on the other side of the pitch, Van Dijk was protecting the back line like a condom. If you guys truly want to feel like Mo Salah or Virgil van Dijk, you have to buy one of their jerseys. Go to buygamejerseys.com and use code PETTALKS at checkout. The Dutchman has returned back to the levels we saw from him in 2019, and it was great to see because at one point it seemed like everyone had forgotten how good he was.
He's not a natural leader.
Van Dijk is not the same player.
In by Simicast, it's in! There's your moment! There's your man!
If you only listened to this criticism, you wouldn't know that at one point Virgil van Dijk was on top of the world. A center back on the Ballon d'Or podium with Messi and Ronaldo. It's unheard of. The last time a defender was in the conversation for best player in the world was 2006. Fast, strong, good on the ball, Van Dijk is the full package as a defender. No weaknesses in his game as he transformed Liverpool into one of the best teams in the world.
Virgil van Dijk might be, in that era, the best centre-back that's ever lived.
Virgil van Dijk is the best centre-back on the planet right now, easy.
Well, I go further. I think he's the best centre-half of all time.
But in the past few years, there's been a lot of criticism and people trying to rewrite history. Everything from Van Dijk's leadership to his defending style have been questioned. He went from being considered the greatest Premier League defender of all time to people wondering if he was ever even that good.
But people compare him with John Terry and Rio Ferdinand. He's not in the same. He can't lace their boots.
Van Dijk hit peaks that we haven't seen from many defenders. Peak for peak, there's no reason why his name shouldn't be up there with the likes of Maldini and Ramos when discussing the greatest defenders of all time. In the Premier League, his name should absolutely be in the same conversation as the likes of John Terry, Rio Ferdinand, and Vidic. But I believe part of the reason why Van Dijk's success is overlooked is because of his lack of longevity.
I just think that longevity is part of the conversation when you consider an all-time great.
I think the difference here is longevity. Ferdinand, Terry, Adams, it's longevity. We'll see in 5 years' time about Van Dijk.
And if indeed we're going to talk about Virgil van Dijk being the best ever in the history of the Premier League, then there has to be more body of work than just 2 seasons.
While players like Ramos and Maldini were good from the get-go at elite European clubs, Van Dijk's journey to the top was very different. He started his career at Groningen in the Eredivisie. Before joining Groningen, he spent his youth career at Willem II.
I got picked up quite early by Willem II. A mid-table team back then in the Eredivisie in Holland, and I played there 10 years in the academy.
Where he initially struggled to break into the first team due to the club staff believing he had too many limitations in his game. The club therefore did not want to offer him a contract.
I was never a standout.
When I was 15, before the growth spurt, I was struggling. I didn't play all the time, and when I played, sometimes I played right back.
15, 16, that was a time that I struggled quite a bit. Didn't have my growth spurt yet.
Despite growing in height by about 18 centimeters, Willem's reserve manager still saw Van Dijk as the scrawny teenager who struggled at right back.
I got my growth spurt when I was 16, 17. I got over the summer, crazy growth spurt. You would see me after the summer, you would think.
In fact, according to sources, had it not been for the Coleman family who scouted the 18-year-old for Groningen, Van Dijk might have ended up being a full-time dishwasher, the part-time job he was doing before signing a professional footballing contract.
I made the step up north to FC Groningen. Things only went good that way.
Initially at Groningen, the staff didn't let him play matches believing he was overtired after extensive play with Willem's academy and reserve side. He had to wait until May 1st of 2011 to make his professional debut, coming on as a sub. On the 29th of May, he made his first start for Groningen, scoring twice in a 5-1 win. In the next few seasons, Van Dijk would continue to shine, but there wasn't a whole lot of attention on him. Not only was he in the Eredivisie, but he wasn't playing for one of the bigger clubs like Ajax.
When I was at Groningen, I would love to go to an Ajax or Feyenoord or PSV or, because they are the traditional top 3 in the league, and it didn't happen.
In the summer of 2013, PSV were interested in Van Dijk, but opted for Jeffrey Bruma instead. Brighton were also interested in the Dutchman, but Van Dijk rejected them himself. He wanted to transfer to a top Dutch club, and even contacted Mark Overmars to discuss a possible transfer to Ajax. The club, however, didn't want Van Dijk and instead signed Mike van der Hoorn from FC Utrecht. Van Dijk was around 22 years old at this time. Most of the top central defenders we know at that age were either starting for a top club or being chased by one. Van Dijk, however, was on no team's radar. No top team believed in him.
Because it's been quite a late rise to being in sort of the position that you are now and how you thought of.
Yeah, definitely. I think I went under the radar a bit.
But how can you go under the radar?
On the 21st of June 2013, Van Dijk finally got his move, but not to a league that many people would have expected.
But Celtic was there, and to be able to go to Celtic, to play for such a big club, because people don't really realize how massive Celtic is.
Being able to go from FC Groningen in the end to Celtic was a big one, because I played for one of the biggest clubs in the world that no one really, realized.
He signed with Celtic for a 4-year deal and played fantastic, from crunching tackles to solo run goals. To flying headers.
Here comes the corner, and Van Dijk has scored again.
Van Dijk was doing it all as Celtic won their 11th consecutive league title. They lost only one match and conceded only 25 goals in the league. Van Dijk had a huge part to play in that, as he was named in the PFA Scotland Team of the Year and nominated for the PFA Scotland Players Player of the Year award.
But no, honestly, he was amazing at Celtic. Just get on the ball and he would just
too easy for him.
Yeah, and then just a top player, really good guy as well.
Yeah. The next season, it was more of the same. Van Dijk was now not just securing the back line, but also scoring. He finished the season with 10 goals and 6 assists as a center back, which is pretty crazy. After winning another league title, Van Dijk was included in the team of the season for the second consecutive time. He was again shortlisted for the PFA Scotland's Players Player Award, but once again was the runner-up.
You're a centre-back here, Geese. Come on, relax.
Like, he would
Come
take
to the
free
Premier
kicks,
League.
everything.
Yeah, he was taking free kicks.
and was finding free kicks.
So while he was getting more recognition now, he still wasn't considered one of the best players in the world. That was proven when he wasn't selected by Louis van Gaal for the 2014 World Cup. Instead, Van Gaal chose the inexperienced Terence Congolo, who was playing for Huddersfield, a team that had just been relegated from the Premier League. After Celtic were eliminated in the Champions League playoffs by Malmo, Van Dijk realized it was time to move. His time at Scotland had definitely added to his reputation and he had learned a lot.
To play Europe Champions League first season, Europa League second season, was for me perfect for my development.
When I joined, it was unbelievable. Like playing Champions League first season, Barcelona, AC Milan, played against Ajax. The year after I played the Europa League, I won 2 league trophies, I won a cup trophy. So all these things, the experience, made me ready for the Premier League.
But if he wanted to be the best, he had to go to the Premier League.
Big stadium and the passion of the fans and all this stuff. And I really thought, listen, I have to be here, I have to play in the Premier League.
I felt obviously ready for the next step, and the next step was for me, in that case, Southampton.
On the 1st of September 2015, the last day of the transfer window, Van Dijk signed a 5-year contract with Southampton for a reported £13 million transfer fee. The transfer made him the most expensive Dutch defender since Jaap Stam.
Jaap Stam was obviously for me, it was the warrior. If you think about Jaap Stam, you think he's 3 meters tall and he will run through a brick. That's what I thought always back in the day as well. So
Arsenal were reportedly interested in the Dutchman as well, but they pulled out stating that he was too nonchalant.
Arsenal chief scout thought he was a little bit too nonchalant.
This was a new criticism. Many English clubs at that point knew about Van Dijk, but weren't convinced by what he had shown.
Every team in England watched him regularly, but they all had their doubts. I think the worry was he was showing all the qualities against Scottish players. The question was, could he do it against English top defenders?
And I also said, go and get Van Dijk. I think it was before he went to Southampton for 10, 11 million, and obviously West Brom felt it was maybe a little bit too much.
But Southampton knew the quality of player they were getting.
Did Southampton think they were taking a gamble?
No chance. I think Southampton were smart. They knew they were getting a cracking deal.
Van Dijk went into that first season with the Saints with a chip on his shoulder. Nobody had wanted him in the Netherlands, and even after 2 fantastic seasons in Scotland, he was being doubted.
I said it in the Scottish press, I says Virgil van Dijk would make any team in Europe better. And I was ridiculed.
He made his debut for Southampton on the 12th of September in a 0-0 draw against West Bromwich Albion at the Hawthorns. 2 weeks later, Van Dijk marked his 3rd Premier League appearance with his first goal for the club, which came from a header in the 11th minute to put Southampton in front, following a set piece from James Ward-Prowse in a 3-1 home win over Swansea. He was named Player of the Year by both his teammates and Southampton fans for his first season.
I remember the first season with Southampton, we had a record-breaking season. We came 6th in the league. We had European football the season after.
It had gone so well that he signed a new 6-year contract with the Saints.
I think it's a good time to get a new deal and make sure we have a long-term deal running.
On the 22nd of January 2017, Van Dijk was named the captain of Southampton after the departure of Jose Fonte. Don't think someone who isn't a good leader would have been given the armband, but we will get to this criticism later. He continued to impress, being a rock at the back as the Saints finished 8th in the Premier League. They could have won a trophy as they made it to the EFL Cup final. However, Van Dijk was out for the match due to an ankle injury.
Very complicated foot injury, and that ruled me out for the remaining of the season.
These performances were too good not to notice, and Van Dijk was now the subject of interest from Chelsea, Manchester City, and Liverpool.
But there was a lot of interest from different clubs, including Liverpool. And
he knew it was time to leave. Despite signing a long-term contract, the Dutchman handed in a transfer request to Southampton and released a statement that he wishes to join a different club in the transfer window. He wanted to join Liverpool.
We felt like Liverpool was the best option for us going forward in every aspect.
After a lot of back and forth between Van Dijk and Mauricio Pellegrino, which involved Van Dijk being removed from the squad due to the speculation in his future, Van Dijk finally got his move. On the 27th of December 2017, Van Dijk joined Liverpool for £75 million, making him the most expensive defender in history at the time. The price was criticized heavily, with a lot of pressure being put on him from the get-go.
And they just paid £75 million for you. I was like, I've watched Virgil van Dijk at Southampton, he's good. That's a lot of money, that.
I think Lovren was a much better defender at Southampton than Van Dijk ever was, I think. And now that's going to be the big thing, because Lovren comes in at Liverpool and we obviously know what's happened there. Is there a concern it could happen for Van Dijk?
For that fee, everything Van Dijk did will be put under a massive spotlight.
When he comes in, you're absolutely spot on. Much more high pressure, all eyes are on you, whether you're training or whatever you're doing, whatever competition you're in with Liverpool. This is big time.
He makes a mistake at Southampton or two, we don't even bat an eyelid. We don't even talk about it. It's not even on the radar. He makes 2 mistakes at Liverpool in the first couple of games. We're on it all the time.
The start to his Liverpool career was eventful, to say the least. He scored a late FA Cup winner against Everton on his debut, but then in the next game cost a 95th minute penalty against Spurs. He also struggled in the heart of Liverpool's defense during the defeats by Swansea in the league and West Brom in the FA Cup. At one point, Jamie Carragher even stated that Van Dijk doesn't look fit. Klopp defended his player against these claims.
Being fit, first of all, needs to, you have at the end more muscle than anything else, and that's of course part of being fit, but it's not an issue. Not at all. Klopp
was right that there were no issues, as Van Dijk got better and better.
After that, obviously, I just started to hit the ground running and just carry on.
He was so good that he was included in the Champions League team of the season, despite only being there for half the season. As he adjusted to his time in Merseyside, he began to reach levels unseen from a centre-back. He assisted the winning goal by Divock Origi against Everton. Then he won the Premier League Player of the Month for November and December of 2018. In February of 2019, he scored twice in a 5-0 win against Watford, then scored and assisted in a 3-1 win over Bayern Munich in the Champions League. Liverpool, who had struggled defensively the season before, were now rock solid thanks to the addition of Van Dijk. They had been unbeaten in 24 Premier League matches at Anfield, their best run in the competition since August of 2009 at that time. All that criticism about Van Dijk's nonchalant attitude and being too expensive went out the window. His calm presence and excellent football IQ were now celebrated as the reason that Liverpool defeated Tottenham to become Champions League winners. Van Dijk was named the man of the match.
But if you watch him closely, he doesn't tackle, he doesn't slide, he intercepts. He's got a football brain, he looks at the passer, he looks at the defender and steps in front. Doesn't matter where you're playing, that's an intelligence, reading the game.
Nobody ever mentioned his price tag, as he was named the PFA Players Player of the Year and named in the PFA Team of the Year.
When you show your qualities, when you just being yourself and express yourself in what you can do, no one will speak about any price tag.
His accolades continued to rack up in the next season as he won the UEFA Men's Player of the Year award and finished runner-up for the Ballon d'Or. The only reason he came in second was because he happened to peak during one of Messi's best years. But Van Dijk had been so good that the award was actually close, as the Dutchman only lost out by 7 votes. Klopp and Fabinho made it clear they felt Van Dijk had been the best in the world. While Van Dijk might not have won the award, it was clear to everyone that he was by far and away the best defender in world football.
I don't care if it's Mbappe, Haaland, Højlund at the weekend, he's got it.
Over the last 4 years, people have regarded you as being the best centre-back.
We've been saying for a while now he's the best centre-back in the Premier League. I actually think he's one of the best players in the league, really.
Do you agree with that, Darren?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think he's made a massive difference to Liverpool.
That jump from Southampton to Liverpool just propelled you into a different league.
Not only was he named in the 2019 UEFA Team of the Year, but he started every minute for Liverpool as the Reds went on to win the Premier League. Their first top-flight title in 30 years, just 1 year after being crowned European champion.
No one can say anything about our season. We well-deserved champions.
It was special. It was, what dreams are made of.
Van Dijk was on top of the world, but then everything came crashing down. On the 17th of October 2020, Van Dijk was substituted in the 6th minute of the Merseyside derby after a challenge from Everton goalkeeper Jordan Pickford.
The way Pickford went in the challenge was completely, in my opinion, stupid.
I think Jordan Pickford should be banned for as long as Virgil van Dijk is out.
Of course it should have been a red card for Jordan Pickford.
It was a terrible tackle.
On the following day, it was announced that Van Dijk had suffered an ACL injury in his right knee and would undergo surgery. Van Dijk was expected to be out from 6 to 12 months.
I got a call from my physio and he said it's bad news. So, and then obviously the world collapsed. If you know that you have done something with your knee, that's the worst you can get as a football player. But the beginning and the surgery was horrible.
For many, this type of injury had ended their career. The Dutch national team had hoped that Van Dijk would be able to make a return before Euro 2020, but Van Dijk decided that he would continue his rehabilitation. It would be a miracle if he recovered, but his recovery would pose another question. Could he ever reach the levels he was once at? The Dutchman was out for 9 months. Nobody knew how he would look on his return on the 29th of July, 2021. In the 2022 season, he still looked good. His first goal for Liverpool in over 14 months came against his former club Southampton, when he hit a volley from a corner. On the 27th of February 2022, Van Dijk helped Liverpool win the 2022 EFL Cup, scoring his penalty in the shootout over Chelsea after a goalless draw in normal time. His performances were good enough to earn him a place in the Premier League PFA Team of the Year. In fact, the whole year Liverpool were on the quest for the quadruple. They unfortunately only won the EFL Cup and FA Cup, but Van Dijk once again had a huge hand to play in helping them win those trophies. It seemed like Van Dijk had not lost a step.
But that year I played, I think, the only player in Europe, all the games, like almost all the games, most games of the year. And that year went actually quite good.
But the next season was a different story. On the 29th of October 2022, Liverpool lost 2-1 at home to Leeds United, which was Van Dijk's first home defeat at Anfield in the Premier League after 70 games since joining the club in January of 2018. A crazy statistic on its own, showing the dominance of the Dutch centre half. But this season was just not his. Against Arsenal, Liverpool drew 2-2 with Van Dijk being at fault for both goals, clumsily diverting Martin Odegaard's pass to Gabriel Martinelli for the opener and then losing Gabriel Jesus in the Liverpool box for the second. Liverpool then tied Fulham 2-2 due to Van Dijk giving away a pen on Mitrovic. The dominance he had shown over the opposing strikers was gone. Liverpool also lost 4-1 to their rivals Manchester City.
It was a very inconsistent season, and I had very good games and I had very not good games. It was obviously not the level that everyone was used to see of me. So obviously the criticism back then.
They were struggling and ended up missing out on Champions League football just a season after being in the race for the quadruple. At age 31, there were now questions on whether Van Dijk's best days were over. The next season, Van Dijk was named team captain after the departure of Jordan Henderson, but the season did not start out any better. He was given his first Liverpool red card following a foul on Alexander Isak in the match against Newcastle. Initially, Van Dijk refused to leave the pitch and swore at referee John Brooks. Van Dijk was handed a one-match ban for the contentious red card, but was given an additional game ban after he admitted to acting in an improper manner towards a match official. He was also fined £100,000 for his use of abusive words. While dealing with criticism as a Liverpool player, Van Dijk was also being critiqued by the Dutch for his role on the national team. Virgil van Dijk's captaincy credentials had been questioned by Marco van Basten, who said the defender creates chaos for the Netherlands team. During the Euro 2024 qualifiers, the Dutch were beaten by France 4-0, leading to Van Basten expressing doubts over Van Dijk's ability to lead the national team. Van Basten claimed that Van Dijk makes noise but doesn't say anything. Dutch legend Ruud Gullit had doubled down on this as well, stating that Van Dijk thinks he's better than the rest.
He's not been at his best. And maybe he does need to take a bit more leadership.
Even in 2022, when Van Dijk helped seal qualification for the Nations League by contributing towards 2 clean sheets in the wins against Poland and Belgium, Van Basten had criticized him, saying that Van Dijk did the least in terms of initiative. Even in England, they were beginning to criticize his leadership and defensive issues.
It's nowhere near good enough, and defensively right now, and what makes me laugh, I'm not that horrible. Virgil van Dijk said I wouldn't get in that back four about 2 months ago. I think I'd take his place at the moment, but
you didn't hear a word of this when Van Dijk was winning trophies left and right, being in the conversation for the Ballon d'Or. But as soon as Liverpool began struggling as a team, the immediate scapegoat was the Dutch centre-back. For Van Dijk, he was used to being criticized.
Does criticism faze you?
Well, listen, 90% it doesn't faze me.
He had been doubted every step of the way in his career. At Groningen, he wasn't considered good enough for the top Dutch clubs. At Celtic, his ability to maintain his performance level against better opposition was questioned. And then when he joined Liverpool, his price tag was the main point of contention. When his team was winning, his laid-back, conservative style of defending was seen as tactical, and an example of Van Dijk's high football IQ. But when his team was losing, Van Dijk would be criticized for being too nonchalant and not aggressive enough. The whole leadership argument was the same. According to Wijnaldum, one of Van Dijk's teammates at both club and international level, Van Dijk constantly talked on the field.
When a player for us, not only on the pitch, but also outside the pitch, a leader.
Nobody had ever questioned Van Dijk's leadership when Liverpool were winning. Van Dijk is just a victim of his own high standards. When you have been so good, poor performances can stand out more and attract more scrutiny. But there were concerns about whether this was just a dip in form or the start of the downfall for Van Dijk. Well, on February 25th, 2024, Van Dijk began to silence his critics as he scored the only goal of the game in extra time to beat Chelsea 1-0 in the EFL Cup final, his first trophy as Liverpool captain. He was named the man of the match and won the Alan Hardaker Trophy for the second time in his career. He has risen back to a level that most center backs dream of. We have just become numb to his greatness. Because of his unconventional path to the top, he doesn't get praised for his longevity, despite being a fantastic center back both at Celtic and Southampton. But even if we ignore longevity, the peaks he has reached as a defender, he should easily be in the conversation for the greatest center back of all time, not just the Premier League. His transfer to Liverpool was one of the most transformative moves of all time. He came in and almost single-handedly elevated Liverpool's ceiling. He fixed their defensive issues, then helped them become European and Premier League champion. When have we ever seen a defender have this sort of impact on a team? You can't anchor a backline the way he does without being a leader.